Hey, this is Manuela. If you'll recall, a few months back I had started or tried to get started a video series called Romans 8:28, Revelation 12:11, which would encourage people to give their testimony about what the Lord's done in their lives. And kitty, why would you come now? So, ow, good grief. Sorry. So anyway, I guess I was thinking that I would start at the beginning of my life and then just build up, and there would be one great big finale or whatever, how the Lord found me. And I think, now as I look back, I actually think probably I was stalling because, for a couple of reasons. One, because I was ashamed, really, of what I did to get to that point. And the second thing is my dad was still alive, and I was afraid that somebody would watch the videos and then tell him. And he was responsible for a lot of the things that happened to bring me to that point. Not that he did anything personally wrong, he was just a little bit negligent in caring for me, I guess. But he was a good dad, and I love him. But he passed away recently, and so I don't have a reason not to share these things now. So a lot of things brought me to that point. And I know we all have the stories at the beginning of our lives and as we grow up to make us who we are. And things happen to us. Our personalities begin to develop. And anyway, by the time I was in high school and in college, I was involved in alcohol, drugs, and probably the most important thing was I was promiscuous. I had this idea that I had to be in order for guys to like me, and I would go from relationship to relationship, even in high school, really. And by the time I was in college for a while, I was in college for a long time, and I found myself at the age of 24, and sort of, I guess, I felt like I had to have if I had a family, I could prove myself. I could prove to the world that I was an okay person, and so I was just looking for a husband. I'd gotten to the point where just anybody, I think, in my mind would work. I just wanted to have a family. So I met this guy. He was a year younger than me. I met him at a friend's house, and I was already in a relationship, but I was living with somebody, and they didn't want to marry me. They just wanted to live with me. And I met this man, and he was a year younger than me, but maturity-wise, he was a whole lot younger than me, and really was not ready to be married. But I got pregnant, and we got married. But our relationship, even before we got married, was really sort of physical. We would we fought, and I cannot. First of all, just let me say that I'm not. This is not a commentary on how he treated me or what kind of person he was, or he's. In fact, he seems to be an okay guy now. He tries to be a good dad. He loves his kids and he loves the boys, and we are all on journeys. We all have done wrong things, and I totally forgive him for everything that happened. And I'm actually, how could I be thankful for what I have now if I had nothing to relate things to? I'm so happy now, but I think the life that I have now I wouldn't be thankful for if I hadn't experienced things. But like I said, there's no hard feelings I completely forgive him. And he is, he's been through his own journey, and I really kind of feel like he's come a long way, and he's a good person now. So this is just telling the story. That please don't think anything bad about him. If you happen to know him, you're watching this video and you know him, you know him now. He's okay. He's an all right dude. But anyway, so before we even got married, we had a very physical relationship. And after we got married, it was physical too. But when we got married, I'd made up my mind. I wanted to stop all that. I wanted to be the best wife I could be. And I really did try to stop it, but we had already fallen into a pattern. And why should he stop just because I wanted to stop? So, anyway, like I said, we fought a lot, even when I was pregnant. And anyway, I ended up having a miscarriage, and I'm not going to say it was because of anything that happened, because I really don't remember. But anyway, I miscarried, and that miscarriage happened on April the 6th, 1995, and I was so devastated over that. Oh, I wanted that child so bad. And anyway, I fell into a very deep depression for the next year. I could hardly even move. But anyway, I ended up getting pregnant again. And when I was pregnant again, we still fought all the time. And I really wanted this baby. And but I ended up having what's called toxemia when I was about 6 months along. And you know what happens, I ended up having to go to the hospital every day and go to the emergency room to be monitored. It wasn't like emergency, but it was scheduled. I had to be there at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I stayed there from 8 to 5 with the blood pressure cuff and the baby heart monitor and stuff like that on. And I think the reason they did that is because I really should have been hospitalized, but we didn't have insurance. So that every day. But then when I went home at night, I was supposed to stay in, a dark room with, I'm sorry, in a dark room on my left side. In fact, they told me not to even watch television, that I needed to stay calm. My blood pressure was so high. I was swelling like, oh my gosh, I gained 30 pounds in just a couple of weeks just from the fluid. And it was really a dangerous situation, but my husband, he wanted to leave me. And by the way, we didn't have a telephone. We were so poor. We didn't have a telephone. We didn't have, and we lived like out in the middle of the woods, and our nearest neighbors were his parents, who were just like the length of a football field away or longer. And we lived in an old rundown trailer. It was terrible. It was a single wide trailer. Did you just hear that explosion? It was a single wide trailer, and it had, we'd rented it from his uncle, and it had holes in the floor. It had, the back door somebody had pried it open with a pry bar, and it didn't close all the way, so we had to padlock it as close as possible, and critters could crawl in, and it was terrible. It was terrible. It had roaches and spiders, but I was on bed rest, and I couldn't do anything. But then he would leave. He would still leave me, and he would go partying every night. And I was so scared, and I would beg him, please, please, I'm scared to be by myself. Please stay with me. And he wouldn't. And I would even, I'd stand in his way, and he would beat me up. He would just, twist me up. I don't even want to talk about that. And so that kept happening day after day after day. And then whenever he would do that, I couldn't understand how he could do that, knowing how sick I was. Knowing that I could, if the doctor wouldn't even let me watch TV, how could he do that to me? Unless he really wanted me to die. I couldn't understand it. And I was laying in bed, So I really kind of felt like he probably really wanted me dead. Because, I mean, if he knew how sick I was, how could he do that to me? How could he do that to me and my child, our child? So time went by and this kept happening every day, and I would beg him, please stay with me. And no one would stay. He would go every night. He'd go playing Dungeons and Dragons. He always, if he wasn't partying, on the weekends, he was playing Dungeons and Dragons during the middle of the week. And no, Magic the Gathering. I'm sorry, Magic the Gathering. That's what he was playing. And I really felt like he didn't care about me. He would come home sometimes at 4 o'clock in the morning. Well, most of the time, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And, when you're laying there, you're not supposed to watch TV. You're not, even after he would do those things to me, I'd go lay down and I would just cry myself to sleep. And, there's only so much sleeping you can do. And April the 6th, 1996 rolled around, the year anniversary of my first child miscarrying. And so you can imagine all of the thoughts that were rolling through my head. How that child died, and then the things that we were going through every night at that point. So I really, really started thinking the world would be better off without me. And I started telling myself, I'm just so stupid. How could I can't even take care of myself. How could I take care of a child? And I really convinced myself that the world would be a better place without me. And I got up this night, and I went to the bathroom, and of course, as sick as I was, and I'd been that way for, several weeks, and then, well, nobody was going to clean the house, and I'm not even supposed to watch TV or get up, I was on bed rest, and the floor was so full of clothes you couldn't even walk, and it was just filthy. It was just dirty. The whole trailer was just filthy. And I got up and went into the bathroom, and I turned the light on, and when I kind of out of the corner of my eye saw my reflection in the mirror, and it scared me. I did not recognize that person. I thought somebody else was standing there. Because I had swelled up so much, and my face was real swelled up, and I didn't look like myself. I didn't look anything like myself, and I just had these terrible thoughts, and I started thinking, why should the earth, make a place for me? I just needed to just be gone. And then, my baby, I remember so specifically, I talked out loud. Okay, I didn't think I was going to cry. I thought I could tell this story. But I talked out loud to my baby. If he could beat me up, what would he do to my child once he was born? If he became angry at my son, at my child. So in my mind, first let me go back just a little bit, and when I noticed, that person in the mirror, I mean, I actually, I verbally talked to that person in the mirror and told that person, look at you stringy-haired bitch. What makes you think you deserve to even breathe? And the funny thing is, it's like all of a sudden I got tunnel vision and I felt detached from my body. I felt like, and whenever that happened, I felt like it's like almost like I was having an out of body experience, like I was looking at this, I wish I could just explain it, but in hindsight, as I think about it, I'm wondering if maybe, I honestly think that I was possessed, because right then it's like all downhill from there. It's almost like I had lost control of my body, like I was watching myself do these things. But I remember touching my stomach, touching my baby, and saying, if he could do this to me, as sick as I am, knowing that, you're in my belly, obviously doesn't want either one of us around. If he could do this to me, what's he going to do to you? And so I honestly justified this in my mind, that what I was about to do was for my child's safety. So there was the mirror, it was a real small little bathroom, and the laundry room and the bathroom were in the same room, and the washing machine and the dryer were behind me. There was a cabinet behind me, and it had that's where we kept all of our medicine. And so I turned around to I decided I was going to try to kill myself by taking pills. So I turned around and I opened up the cabinet, and there was nothing in there. All I could find was a bottle of Nitol. And not really sure how much damage that could have done. I don't know if it would have, surely it would have, I don't know. I don't even know what's in Nitol, but that was all I had. So that's what I was going to use. And so I took the bottle and I opened it, and I said I wasn't going to cry. Okay, I poured the bottle in my hand, and turned the water on, and I put all as much as I could in my mouth, and I went down, to fill my hands with water to try to swallow it, and I did, and I tried to swallow them, and some of them went down, and some of them got hung in my throat. But all of a sudden, I promise I heard a voice. I heard a voice that was so loud that said, "What are you doing?" And I thought somebody was in the room with me. It scared me. I turned around to look to see if anybody was there. But nobody was there, and it occurred to me, all of a sudden, what I was doing, it's like I was in a trance, and this voice out of nowhere, and then I realized what I was doing, and all of a sudden I just had such shame, and I just freaked out once I realized, what am I doing? And I dropped down to my knees, and I spit out what I had in my mouth, and I guess, I had, this gag reflex or whatever, because I had so many hung in my throat that I just throwed up. And I couldn't believe what I had just done. I was so horrified at what I had just done. I almost murdered my child. This baby that I had loved so long, I almost murdered my child. And I was on my knees throwing up in the toilet. And there was so much running through my mind. I didn't know what happened. And I was like, that was God? What was that? And it occurred to me that maybe Jesus himself stopped me from doing that. And I just, after I got done, heaving and throwing up. All I could do was lay on the floor and think, what just happened? What did I just hear? What just happened? What did I just do? So many thoughts just rolling through my mind. I couldn't make any sense out of it. All I knew is I almost murdered my precious, beautiful little boy. And I was so ashamed. I was so ashamed. And all of those thoughts running through my head, and I was like, that had to have been God. It had to have been. What else could it have been? And so I just laid there on that dirty floor, on top of all those dirty towels and dirty clothes, and I was like, okay, Jesus, I don't for real know if you're real, but all I know is I'm sick of my life. I don't have anything else to believe in. I don't have anything to believe in. So I guess I'll believe in you. And all of that weight, the shame that was pressing down on me when I said that. I don't know if you're real, but I don't have anything else to believe in, so I'm going to believe in you. And it's like, the weight of the shame, it's like all of a sudden it lifted. It just lifted. But I can't even tell you the weight of that shame that I felt at that moment before. I really did want to die. I couldn't believe. There are no words. I'm not even going to try. The shame, the heavy weight of that shame that was suffocating me. So anyway, I laid there on that floor and I thought about it for a few minutes. I'm like, well, okay, well, what do I do now? What in the world do I do now? But I was just amazed at the way that when I said those words, that shame just lifted, just went away. So when I tried to decide what to do, I got up and it was laid on my heart that I needed to go down to my husband's parents, who are wonderful people, wonderful people, godly. So I got up and brushed my teeth and put some clothes on, and I walked best that I could. I walked the best that I could. I had to go tree to tree because I was so dizzy. When your blood pressure is so high that you're just dizzy. So I got up and I walked out and I went to one tree, and I told you how far away they lived from us, but I'd stand there until I felt like I could go to the next tree, and I walked to the next tree and did the same all the way to their house. And I don't even know how I managed to get there, but I got there. And I knocked on the door, and my mother-in-law, she opened the door, and I was just standing there, and she looked at me so funny, and I told her, I think I'm saved. And she looked so surprised. It turned out she'd been praying for me for years and years, for the whole time that I'd known her son. I can't say years because we really only knew each other a couple of years, but 3 years. She drugged me in that house. Of course, she was like, what was I doing walking to her house, first of all? And anyway, so she drugged me in, and she told her husband, my father-in-law, go get the Bible. And anyway, they sat down. I'm trying not to say their names, but it was the most precious moment ever. He ran and got his Bible, and the two of them sat down there with me, and they read John 3:16, and I knew that verse before, and it never meant anything to me. But when they read it to me, it was so precious. It was so different. And then they, some of the other verses that people generally, when you're trying to explain salvation to somebody. And then, but I never told anybody what I did. I was so ashamed of it. I never told anybody. But something wonderful that happened even after all that, something absolutely wonderful, was God allowed me to forgive myself. Not only did He forgive me for what I had almost done, or actually, He's the only one that kept it from happening. I had already done the deed. But He let me forgive myself, because if I'd had to live with that level of shame, I would not even be able to function. I almost murdered my beautiful baby boy. But God let me forgive myself. He let me forgive myself. And I know for a fact He was there with me in that room. And everything changed from that day on. Everything changed. My baby, he was born. That happened on April the 6th, 1996. And my sweet boy was born on April the 25th, 1996. And he's so beautiful. He's so smart. He's talented. He's graduated high school with honors, got a full scholarship to a major college. And then, besides him, look at me. Look at where He's brought me. I mean, I had quit college to get married, and after a couple years and working hard in a factory, He sent me back to college. And then I ended up with a career, and it's gotten to where I just, it's incredible how He's made Himself obvious in my life. And now all I want to do is serve Him. And my message to anybody out there is, all you have to do is challenge Him with a full, determined heart. If you're for real, show me. He will. So, okay, I finally crossed that bridge, and I hope I can figure out how to make this video not so long, because it looks like it's going to be pretty long. So, God bless you, and share your testimony. Don't be ashamed of who you are and how you got there, because the Lord was with you the whole way. And this is how the devil's going to be defeated, is people knowing that they are not alone. I challenge you. Talk to you later. Bye.